I'm glad you're
Sounds,
back. Back in the saddle.
That's right.
He's back.
Did you miss us?
I did.
Dude,
very much.
I'm singing this whole fucking show.
I told Grady that story. And I think he misheard me because he's like, how is he so funny? I said, JB? And he goes, oh, you said JB?
Wrong, JB. Okay, gentlemen, here we go. We're going to start it off like this.
I like what you did there.
I don't get it. Where are you going with this?
I'll give you two guesses, Jared. One, the reason why, and two, who is it?
Is it John Williams?
Very good.
It is John Williams.
Is it because it could be a certain date in May? Which I'm really into Morrow's Day. I mean, let's be frank. I mean, Mexican beer and a
Why can't you just have a Modelo on May the 4th? We don't. I mean, let's cross-pollinate some of these phenomenal date opportunities here.
How about that? John Williams. You've been dogging me about the freaking music, and I got John Williams.
Okay, that's question 1A. 1B, which symphony plays it?
I don't know that.
Okay. That would be London. Name another symphony.
St. Louis
Okay,
Symphony.
next. Yeah, it was not the St. Louis Symphony.
Pow.
Well, gentlemen, we're back. Another episode, Soccer Dad Pod. We have a guest sitting here, ripping through some lovely cold Zwickel, because today we are a little change of scenery. We're down here still in Midtown. We're at our friends over at Urban Chestnut in Midtown, in the Barrel Room, having a little episode tonight and drinking some, it looks like everybody actually has cold and yellow. Yours, though, Zach?
That's German.
Balkan Treat Box.
Balkan.
That's what I got.
Oh, that's what I got. Why is... Oh, how did you get the big handle mug, though?
They liked me better.
Yeah,
Seems
you
like-
weren't standing there with us.
I think
Are you at the...
That's
maybe...
got a stink palm on it. That's got a stink palm on it. That's
Yeah,
why they did it, too.
no, there we go. You know what? We've talked about Urban before. We've had John on the show previously. I love these guys. I love their beer. I love the vibe. Tonight they have May the 4th, Star Wars trivia. So you're going to be listening to this probably tomorrow or the next day, so don't come. It's over. Private event in the beer garden, which if you got a party you need to hit them up, because they got plenty of space here to do a multitude of planning and logistics for you. We've been talking logistics for a while, man. That word came out because my friend Jared here and guest today were talking about shipping product. Zach's like, and I missed it.
Shoot.
Shoot. Golly gee. And
Can we go back?
Can we say that Mr. Shine, and God bless him, is going to help Kelly and I? I mean, that's going to be a big deal.
Yeah, no, I mean we've mentioned it before. You guys, I tell you what, Jared, I'm going to time it. You got 20 seconds. Pitch the trailer. Tell our listeners what you have coming down the pipe, coming down the road, so to speak.
It is on the Rocks beverage trailer. It is a all services, full scale bar for any of your bar mitzvah, wedding, party, cul-de-sac, event. We can rock and roll, and you can get a drink from us.
Did you come up with the name because of the state of your marriage, or was there some other?
Oh, I see what he's doing there.
Shoot.
I mean, maybe from an outsider looking in, that's the state of my marriage, but I mean, I'm gorgeous. And then also,
I wouldn't say that. I think she is just, you know what it is? You're like that crippled dog on the side of the road, and she loves dogs. She is taking care of you the whole time.
I think I've hung up.
Retriever.
I've hung out with both of you long enough to know that you were made for each other, and it is so much fun to hang out with the two of you guys because she does not put up with your shit.
No, but the thing is, like, she participates in the shit. She acts
does.
like she's above the shit. For example, on our flight back from where were we last?
Austin.
Thank you. On the flight back from Austin, I'm 5 rows in front of the two of them. We're on a 2-and-2 American Airlines flight, right? I'm sitting on the side. Halfway through the flight, I feel a thump on the top of my head. And I don't even turn around. I know who it is. At first, I thought it was just like him flicking me and like, dick joke. And then about 10 minutes later, probably 2 more thumps on the back of my head. He's throwing. I don't even know what you threw. I didn't even
Peanuts.
Nibs.
Yeah. And so when I finally turned around,
Low fat.
so I finally turn around, get up, and Kelly's laughing like it's so funny. Like as much as she thinks that you're a shithead, she's completely part of the problem.
Yeah, she buys in every once in a while. Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So a lot of things going on before we get into our conversation today with our guest. Soccer news, city news. Where do we want to start? We want to start with city.
Kim Gardner.
Kim Gardner's out. Yeah, the whole city. The text messages are literally flowing in right now. Like, oh my God, maybe. But
May the 4th be with us.
May the 4th. Yeah, there you go. Yes, Kim Gardner is out as CA.
Well, if we're going to, should we talk about our other, in our sphere of media?
We're in media.
Light a candle for Tucker and Don?
Nah.
No?
I don't want to light a candle for any of them anymore. I just, you know what? Just do better.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's,
Those
bumper
guys are
stickers
both
should just be, sell bumper stickers and say, don't
better.
be an asshole.
Yeah.
Do better.
Yeah. Agreed.
Right?
Agreed.
How hard is that? Let's talk a little soccer real quick. Because apparently we're supposed to talk about soccer on this show. City, 6-3-1.
Yep.
We are on the road to Dallas.
We need to bounce back.
We need to bounce back pretty
Big
bad.
game. I think it's a big game for us for a lot of reasons, and one of them was our last episode. Al Trost.
He's going to
be in Dallas, being recognized, as well as being a part of the National Soccer Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. And I think having that representation, hopefully McBride will be there as well. And it's to win in that environment, I think would be pretty special, especially since the U15s beat him as well. So
we did nice. We did not mention that last time. We missed that, didn't we?
17s beat Dallas as well. So 17s, 15s, and now the first team just needs to show up.
Yeah.
I like it. With the ceremony that they're going to have on the field, because as Al mentioned in the episode, you have DeMarcus Beasley and a handful of new inductees. They're going to be honoring those guys,
Donovan.
And some of the older OGs. The 2 from St. Louis will be Al Trost and
Joe Ellis, I think, is being inducted as well.
So it's cool. The last episode, if you get a chance, if you haven't listened, go back. Al was one of those guests that I was completely caught off guard in a really good way by his humbleness.
Just so unbelievably effing humble. You can't even make it up. I mean, he was the most humble guy with his accolades I've ever talked to.
So you guys know the deal because you get messages every now and then as well. But I got a message from a stranger on social media after the Al Trost episode that they listened to it and they sent this note and they were like, "Hey, when I was a kid," or no, that was a different one. This guy said, "We've been playing at Veta for a while. We were in this men's league." And, there's this old gray-haired guy that was the referee and he was always so nice on the field. And after the game, we thought we were really good because we won and we're having some beers, and said something about how nice the referee was to the bartender. And she's like, "Well, you guys are pretty lucky because that's Al Trost." And he's just out there. And I just envisioning like his, the chronology of his life, playing at that level, doing what he did. And then moving into high school and love being around the kids and coaching kids. And in his free time, he's reffing Veta games just because he loves the game.
I just can't believe that still to this day, the most unbelievable stat ever is in all those major American sports, whether it's the top player in male amateur collegiate sports, there's like 5 or 6 people, 7 people that have won multiple players of the year, and he's one of them in our backyard.
Yeah.
And that's unbelievable.
Well, it's crazy, too, when you talk about the humility, he still subbed at Parkway.
Yeah.
He still gets called
goes in as a sub.
And so these kids are sitting there going, "Oh, my God, we got this old guy as our sub." They have no idea what this guy has done.
How about the hotshot sophomore that's starting on varsity boys soccer that thinks his shit don't stink?
Yeah.
Mr. Trost, I got to leave early for a game today against Parkway North. Okay, son.
Yo, you think you're good. Well, let me tell you something. Well, I tell you what, here's what we're going to do. First off, you, the listener, you're going to go back, you're going to listen to the Al episode, and you're going to feel re-inspired and invigorated and be like, I'm not going to be an asshole anymore because that guy's inspiring. Do that first. Second, share an episode with a friend, because sharing the word of what we're trying to do here, it helps us out. It's a faux placebo, but we appreciate it. What we're going to do now is we're going to roll into our guest, and I'm bringing back the walk-up song.
Oh, yeah.
I am.
Good.
Are you ready, Zach?
Yep.
Are you ready, guest?
Yeah, as long as you don't make me identify it.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I hesitated.
Here it goes.
I
Ready?
always feel stupid.
Hold on. Sorry. Technical difficulty, real quick, and I fix it. Here we go. We're going to play Name That Tune first. Now, there's plenty of people listening that already know it. They know who it is. Any guesses?
I know what it is too, but I don't know what it. I can't name it.
You can't name this song? Oh, my goodness.
Hold on, just let it keep going. I'll keep talking so we don't get in trouble. But
Yeah, no, we got to talk a little
need
bit.
a little bit
I can tell you who
more.
the singer is, Jerry Rafferty from Steelers Wheels. Remember him?
yes.
Oh, yeah. Now everybody's like intrigued.
But I don't know the name of it.
I think I skated to this one at Saints
sure.
Roller Rink
Oh yeah.
in Olivet.
Well, the song today is in honor of our guest, Mr. Josh Allen from Companion Bakery. And the song is called Baker Street.
Oh,
See what you did there.
You
That's
see what I did
nice.
there?
That's nice.
Yeah, I mean, I wish it would have said, I wish he would have titled it Baker's Street. I think that would have been kind of cooler, but I take what I'm given.
This was on short notice too. I think I'm filling in, right?
No. You were on the list. We just simply reorganized the schedule.
Okay.
There's a difference between filling in and
Yeah, you weren't Plan B. That's for sure.
No, we just
Well, I certainly shouldn't be following Al Trost. I know that.
No, hey, look, when I think about this show and I think about guests in particular, it's important to me to keep things just relevant. And I think that a rotation between individuals that come from a ton of different walks, professionally, athletically, commercially, business-wise, family-wise, we're going to keep doing that because all of us and the things that we do and where we come from really is the fabric of any community. And you're a lover of the game. You've played the game. Your kids.
I am a soccer dad,
You are a soccer dad. So you check the first box.
and I think, does that mean I get a hat?
Oh, I got hats. Yes.
Yes.
I heard. See, I've been listening. I know how this shit works. I get a hat. That's why I'm here.
Okay. Well, Jared, I tell you what. Will you go back outside? Jared's back with some fresh
I'll see you guys
beer.
in a minute.
All right. No, thanks for joining us, Josh.
And I was one of the 5,000 at Francis Field because I was born in 1969. So I'm going to take it way back. I'm a little older than you gentlemen.
Just a touch.
And my soccer mentor was Bob Madison, who was, I think Al referred to him as one of the Southsiders.
He did.
Bob went to St. Mary's, and he was at SLU that whole period, won the national championships with him. And Bob worked with my dad for almost 30 or 40 years. I don't know how long. And he was working with my dad. My dad had a broadline food distribution company called Allen Foods.
Yeah, they kind of big. They
were around.
They did well.
I've heard of them.
and Bob worked with my dad when he was playing for the Stars. I mean, Al mentioned that most of those guys had real jobs during the day, and that's what he did. And then he would play in the evening. And I don't even know when they trained. I was very young at the time, but we used to go watch him play at Francis Field. So I was out there and all those guys, and it was really cool.
So now, did you grow up in the Central Corridor, or where did you grow up? What the typical question? What high school?
Yeah, I went to Ladue High School, so played soccer at Ladue.
Played soccer there. So when you were growing up, I mean, obviously
They had a soccer team there?
We did.
they were really smart.
We scared
The rain.
my senior year. The only big thing that we can talk about is that my senior year we took CBC to overtime in the district finals, and we had no business being in the district finals against CBC. We took them to overtime. The game got called because of darkness. We had to come the next day and finish the game, and I think they scored in the first 90 seconds the next day. But we put a little scare into him for a minute.
So you graduated in 88, 87? Okay.
So can you imagine what Coach Mickler's speech was right before those kids went to bed? What are they going to wake up to?
We're tied against these assholes. Keep our score in 90 seconds.
It didn't take long the next day.
No, it's it's funny because it's mentioning the Al show and these connections. It is one of those things that there's the common denominator in our town. In virtually every circle is soccer to a large degree, whether it was CYC through a parish or high school stories or, a friend of a friend or employee in the case with your dad. So I wanted to bring you on because you've got a lot of things going on. I mean, the bakery's approaching its 30th anniversary.
Yeah.
Your father kicked it off with Allen Foods, and so you grew up in the industry, and he was a major player in the marketplace. Kind of an anchor here in the St. Louis community, business wise. Let's talk about, for you personally, what got you into the food world, obviously coming from it, and why baking? What got you into making bread?
So outside of stealing my sister's Easy Bake Oven when I was a kid, baking brownies by a light bulb, my mom always baked, and I grew up in the food business. So we made deliveries. We made deliveries on the way to soccer games, on the way to basketball games. I used to unload rail cars of French fries for White Castle when I was in high school because my dad would bring in rail cars of their French fries, and we'd unload, I can't even remember, 30, 40, 50 pallets of French fries in the warehouse. I drove the hotshot van, just made deliveries for them all the time. So I just grew up in the business, and it's what we did. I was very comfortable in the back of a kitchen, and I went to college probably with the intention of. I went to the college in hopes of playing soccer, and it didn't pan out. But I think went to the intention that I was going to go work for my family's business, and so kind of learned how to think in school. Took a whole bunch of different stuff, and ended up getting a job in a restaurant after graduating. And I was racing when the soccer thing didn't work out, and started racing triathlons and was an amateur triathlete and wanted to work at night. So I got a job in a restaurant so I could train during the day. Ended up getting a job in Whole Foods Bakery in Palo Alto. I think Whole Foods Palo Alto was the number 3rd or 4th Whole Foods in the country at the time. Their model at the time was to open only inside of college, in little college cities, educated college cities. And I was working in the basement there and just fell in love with baking. And those that have had the chance to bake professionally either love it or hate it because it's hot and it's monotonous. And it happened to really...
God, it smells good, though.
It does. But it happened to really appeal to me. But I mean, it can be... If you're doing it right, it's incredibly boring and incredibly monotonous because you're doing the same thing every day and you just hope that you don't screw it up.
Yeah, but what about the hours, though? Because don't you have to wake up whenever the yeast is waking up at like 2 in the morning? And
yeah, I mean, the job at Whole Foods was 2 a.m. to 11 a.m. I've worked the overnight. The bakery now runs 24/7, so we have all kinds of shifts.
You just leave the bar and go straight to work.
Yeah, basically.
Or go to work and then go straight to the bar. Either however you want to do it.
So I mean, you guys have been on a tremendous run, and a lot of your business is providing product to third-party users. Some of the clients that I'm familiar with. Let's do this. If you eat a hot dog, where are you going to get your hot dog from?
Steve's.
Jared.
I'm Nathan's.
Steve's. There you go. Steve's.
Nathan's, right? Or
you got to go get your hot dog from somebody. I didn't say.
Oh, I got to go to a place and buy a hot dog.
Steve's. Look, Zach answered it for you. The answer is
Steve's.
Steve's hot dog.
He's going back to grilling in the backyard, right?
Yeah,
I've heard of Steve's.
You can buy a package of Nathan's hot dogs, but you have to make them. Yeah. Or you can go to Steve's.
That's true.
And get a smoked Nathan's hot dog on some really good
bun.
bread.
There you go. See?
Oh,
See what we did there?
Oh, I see where you guys are going with
And then
this.
you, the new addition is a 2-location enterprise. So again, we're going to play a little quiz here, see if you two can get this. 2-location enterprise. First one was, and this is going to give it away, Pontiac, Illinois. And
Wallys.
No, look at that. He's quick, man. You're slow to. Come on, Jared, wake up.
I'm awake.
But they're brisket sandwiches, and
it's so
you guys
good.
are now working with them and providing them buns for the sandwiches and stuff.
Their buns make the sandwich.
So
And that was me just going there twice a week after practice. And I mean, you got to buy a Prime, right? Like you get sucked into the Prime thing with your kids. I think you guys talked about that
yeah.
before.
I'm sucked into that. You're right.
Yeah.
And then once you go into a place enough times, I've always sort of had a rule in my head that I only want to, frequent places that are buying our product. And so if I'm going to go there, I got to figure out how to sell them some bread.
So what did you do? You walk up to and say, "Excuse me, I own Companion Bakery. Would you like to use my bread?" I mean, how does a conversation like that start in your world?
Because I got buns, son.
There you go.
Oh,
there he
look at
is.
that.
There he is.
Yeah, I mean, we reach out. It turns out that the director of food service operations used to work at a country club that we've done business with for a long time. It's a very incestuous restaurant town, no different than you talk about the soccer community being small.
Right,
I mean, the restaurant
right.
community is small, and we've been here for 30 years. So in general, we sort of know everybody, and as we try not to burn any bridges, and we try to take care of our customers and treat people with integrity, and it tends to pay off in the long run if we can do that, and the Wallys thing certainly worked out, and I mean, actually we were super intrigued. I mean, you guys talk about city, obviously that's a big part of the show, and the stadium is a big part of our business now, and we were very focused in the last couple of years of doing what we could. We've had a great relationship with Gerard Kraft, who's the flavor officer, who was kind of curating the food mix, and we have a handful of folks, he's using our product there in the Pitch Club, and Steve's is using our product, and the Block is using our product for their burgers, and it's just a big piece of. We really wanted to be a part of it in some way, and I think it's the vendor community has also been benefited. You talk about all the benefits that it's brought, in terms of attention and excitement for the fans, but there's a lot of vendors and a lot of folks on the peripheral that are being supported by such a terrific enterprise in St. Louis.
So I was gonna bring that up because I knew that you had the relationships with some of these vendors, but you as a soccer fan, as a soccer dad, and having these long-term relationships with some of the vendors in the site, what was it like for you? Just as a fan, knowing that you're part of that equation, because the fan experience at the stadium is really it's unbelievable. The ownership group is trying to ensure that fan experience can mimic, match, keep pace with the performance on the field. Is clearly, as long as the team keeps winning and performing well. But talk about just kind of that guttural reaction, the feeling, because you're able to kind of cross over between being a fan and being a part of the fabric of the stadium.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing, right? Like, I mean, as a kid growing up in St. Louis, obviously the 80s with the Cardinals and not only the World Series championships in the 80s, but also the opening day and what that experience was like. And it's funny, no one will remember this, but I do. We baked for about 3 years. We baked Willie McGee cookies. There was a period of time where Willie McGee, there used to be a family that would bake cookies for him and bring them down to the field, and he befriended these folks. And eventually the Cardinals and Willie said, we should figure out how to sell these things at the stadium. And they needed some, Yahoo that was small enough, nimble enough to do it, but small enough to be willing to do it. And we baked these little 2-packs of cookies for the stadium for a period of time, and got to do that and sort of tied that into that experience. And obviously we actually sold a lot of bread to America Center. That was also Levy Food Service, who was handling America Center when the Rams were here, and all of the excitement that was happening with the Rams, and what a great experience in 99 and 2000, when they were really, obviously at the time.
Your buns, were they on the Ram Dog?
Possibly.
Yeah, you were there. You were season.
I was there. I was there a lot. I was blacked out most of the time, but I was there. So let me ask you this: you had mentioned some of your partners and where we can find Companion Bakery products. What would you say is for our listeners when they're out ordering food, where is your product? Where do you have the most volume of your product at currently in St. Louis?
Well, I mean, we sell our bread in Dierbergs and Schnucks and Straub's in the grocery stores under our name, under our brand, and then we sell to a number of restaurants. And so we have a lot of restaurant partners that we're super proud of the experience. And a lot of those are special products that we're making for folks. So Kevin Nashin from Sydney Street and Peacemaker is a good friend of mine.
Nice.
So the lobster roll and the poor boys at Peacemaker are our product. And we love those partnerships and those collaborations because, these super talented folks. And St. Louis is an incredible independent restaurant town. And you guys compare, I know we have a lot of conversations on this show about Kansas City. So we're going to say that versus Kansas City, it's an incredible food community. And the chains that were in Kansas City for years and years and years, you could go to the Plaza and go to Cheesecake Factory and go to P.F. Chang's, and it took 15 years for those folks to come to St. Louis because St. Louis has been fiercely independent, and the community supports those independents, and that's been a big piece of our success and our ability to grow.
I'm Max, and I'm 9 years old. When I'm not playing soccer, jumping on a trampoline, or playing Xbox, with permission, of course, I listen to the Baked In podcast with Josh Allen. Josh talks to some of the most incredible business leaders in St. Louis. From Maxine Clark of Build-A-Bear to Gerard Kraft, the chief flavor officer for my favorite team, St. Louis City SC. There's something for everyone. If you are interested in the secret sauce of success, check out the Baked In podcast. Now, back to those old guys.
So is Kansas City's bread scene basically like bunny bread, or?
I mean, they're starting to have. They're starting to have a scene.
My next
split
question
top loaf
is talk about your experience recently in the last timeline, however long that may be. Have you guys had bad experiences with ingredient shortages and or just rising food costs? I mean, that's a big gig for anybody, a manufacturer like yourself, correct?
Yeah, I mean, certainly. Look, part of the legacy of trying to build a company with some integrity is you develop those relationships over time. So in terms of shortages, we did really well because we've had long-term relationships. We don't jump around vendors all the time. To us, it's a partnership, and so we've done well with that. Cost is a whole nother story. Flour is 250% more expensive than it was. I mean, part of that's the war in Ukraine and what's happened with wheat around the world, but eggs are 300% higher. Part of that is the shortage. Part of that's avian flu and some other things that are happening. Butter's up. There have been chocolate shortages over the last year. I mean, some different things. I mean, there's been some challenge. It's been a fight, yeah. And same with people. I mean, we have it's not the world's most romantic craft. I mean, it might be in terms of folks wanting to bake sourdough bread when they were stuck at home during the pandemic, but working in a factory overnight isn't always the most attractive thing.
Yeah, so. Kim would do that.
I never got my starter.
About 30 days into COVID, Kim's like, I don't know why Josh thinks this is so hard, Yeah,
45 days
like,
with
she's got 2 baguettes that are, I mean, they were good. I mean, I'll give her credit. They were good. Yeah. But I'm like, what are you even talking about? Like, if you drove this to your mom's house, it'd be bad by the time we get there. He ships all over the country.
Yeah, he baked 9 truckloads of that last night.
Right.
Well, I'm curious. You mentioned Whole Foods and starting out there. I went to a beer tasting. There's a connection here with a gentleman who's the head brewer at Melvin Brewing down in Eureka. He got his start as the recipe creator for the Whole Foods kitchens out in California, and then he went to Denver. So he developed kind of a love for creating recipes for his beer from his work at Whole Foods. How did your work at Whole Foods, did it kind of inspire you to go down the bread path, or how did going from Palo Alto Whole Foods to, I think I'm just going to focus on bread? Like what made that?
I mean, I really just fell in love with the craft. I mean, you're taking flour, water, and salt and turning it into something every day. And there was something really cool for me about turning that mixer on, and at the end of the day, seeing this cooling rack full of product, or in the case of Whole Foods, on the shelf and people purchasing it. And I really enjoyed that. And the challenge of making it the same every day and getting the same consistency when the weather changed. And the California weather didn't change nearly as the weather changes here in St. Louis, but, sort of that experience. And I ended up bouncing around to a couple of little small shops and having that experience. And then eventually I moved home, and my family, who had been in the food business, who I was very concerned would not be supportive of me trying something different, they're the ones that loaned me the money. My grandfather loaned me the money to buy an oven from France, and I put it on a boat, and while it was coming over from France, tiled the floor and painted the walls of about 1,000 square feet of a building they owned at the time in South City, and that's where we ended up for 22 years before we moved out to Maryland.
And you were 24 when you started, roughly?
Yeah, but that's, right? You do shit that you don't think, you don't know any better, right?
I love that movie, Ratatouille. Yeah. that Ratatouille is a great movie.
You're right on, man. No, it's the thing is, like, I think what keeps sticking in my brain here, and this is like, and why I could never do it, like the repetition. I'm just enamored by the fact that you had that kind of passion, to make a product that technically needs to be the same every day, because realistically you probably have it as close to great, if there's great, possible. You have it there, you've got it dialed in, you're doing it every single day, but you have the passion for it every time it walks out the door, rolls out the door, right? How do you maintain the enthusiasm? Is it natural, or do you have tricks of the trade in your own world for the repetition?
Well, honestly, the passion comes from the relationships with the customers. And I really enjoy the idea of helping a chef or a restaurateur tell their story on a plate, and that story. Bread plays a role in that story, right? So if we go back to the Kevin Nash experience, he has a very specific idea of what he wants that poor boy and that lobster roll to be like. And so to spend the time with him to develop that is just really, it's inspiring to think about what these folks are doing, the men and women in that industry, and their vision for it, and if we can play a role in that. So making bread every day certainly can get boring, but not making bread every day for new customers and developing those new things. And there's another Josh at the bakery, Josh Galliano, who is he was a very talented chef, James Beard semi-final finalist a couple of times, and I eventually brought him over, and he now does innovation work for us. He's been with us for almost 10 years, and he does a lot of that work and can obviously talk the talk and walk the walk with those chefs. But those ideas, that's the thing that gets us up every day, is helping tell those stories. And even somebody like Wallys has a very specific way that they want to sell that product and what they're looking for. We work with the folks at High Point on a burger bun we developed with them. It just really in the last year, and they have a very specific need, and the pandemic has changed things for people, which is so interesting, because it used to be that a burger at High Point, by the time it came off the grill, it would be in the customer's hands in minutes, or they'd come pick it up and they would eat it. And now with DoorDash and with curbside and with the way the whole world is changing, now it's got to change. And so how does that experience, how can it be the same if it's 15 or 20 or 30 minutes after it comes off the grill as it was before? And how they manipulate their ingredients and the bun choice that they make, and all of those things play a role in that. And it's really fun to work through that with people, because they have a passion of delivering this great burger experience, and it was being hindered by just the change in the landscape. Yeah. And so it's really fun to help with that.
How does competition fuel that passion as well? Because there are other options, and I think, going back to beer, because we're in a beer hall, the beer industry in St. Louis, while competitive, is also very complementary in that they all kind of work together on different aspects of the business.
That's well said.
Trying to help each other grow and mold. Do you see similar aspects in the bread industry in St. Louis, or is it pretty much companion and then the big guys?
No, in St. Louis, that's absolutely the case. As we start to ship bread outside of St. Louis, and a big part of our business is shipping bread across the country now, then it becomes anybody else who has bread in a box.
Right.
And where we win, if we win or when we win, it's because of our interest in having that relationship. So It's really about the nimbleness and the flexibility. We're very small versus a large scale. So you may have seen La Brea in Schnucks or a couple brands like that. They're shipping 250, 300,000 cases of bread a week. We're shipping 6,000 cases of bread a week. So what we want is a small multi-unit operator. Somebody, Pickleman's is a customer of ours as an example. They've got 35 delis. They want something special, and they want to know the baker and have a relationship. So that's right in the sweet spot of what we can do. And somebody shipping 250,000 cases isn't going to stop a line or stop a process to make them something special, but we'll do that. And we love, again, it goes back to the relationship. It's how my family grew their business. It was a relation. I mean, they were selling groceries that the same folks were also selling, and where they were successful was in the relationship. It was us making a delivery on the way to a game. It was picking up the phone if somebody had a problem and solving the problem. And that's what it's, to me, that's what it's all about, and that's what my family instilled in me. And
let's not send a flippant email and somebody may answer you.
Yeah,
emails ruined our world.
Really?
I hate email.
I don't know, man. Have you ever seen the
People
face of a
hide
mail
behind
carrier?
email.
I think email is helping a lot of people out.
You know what's weird? In my role now, I get maybe, and this is no joke, I work for Salesforce. I get maybe 7 emails a day.
That's unbelievable.
Everything else goes
It's
to
700.
our Slack or Teams.
Well,
or
you're
whatever.
still
So
getting messages.
What I'm getting at is it's shifting.
Yeah.
And it goes to a question I wanted to have for you, Josh, which is you talked about the changing landscape. You talked about the price increases of your main ingredients. You talked about a little bit the competition. Where do you see, I mean, you talked about being a triathlete, and there was a war on carbs there for a while. I think there still is among certain people. How did you guys address that? And where do you see those kind of trends? Do you see another trend hitting the bread industry outside of economic pressures? What do you see there?
Well, it's interesting. I think when we first opened, we didn't really appreciate the low-fat craze of the mid-'90s. And looking back on it, you could eat.
Wait, when I say Atkins, what do you think?
Well, I mean, in the mid-'90s, it was you could have 12 bagels as long as you didn't eat the cream cheese, right?
Right, yeah,
and then
fat,
all of a sudden, in the early 2000s, it became just eat the cream cheese and don't eat the bagels. And so, I mean, we were challenged in the early 2000s. Just with the business. I think now folks are, I'm going to do the air quote thing, which you can't see on the podcast, but
You did air quotes.
Folks are carb aware, which means that where we grew up eating, garlic bread and a plate of spaghetti, now you're having either garlic bread or the plate of spaghetti. And
Not I.
many people. But what that leads to, I think, is people making a choice to increase the quality. So if I'm going to have a sandwich and I'm going to have bread, I want it to be great, right? I want that experience to be great. Same reason that the chefs are being so much more cognizant and intentional about what they're putting on the plate. Like if we're going to make a sandwich, let's make it a great sandwich. If we're going to serve table bread at dinner along with a steak, let's make it something interesting and different. And so for those of us that try to produce products of quality, in some respects, it's been helpful because it's sort of the commodity, the crappy Italian bread that used to be in the basket with the red and white checked napkin, that's sort of going away.
Yeah.
And the biggest example, I'll just use an example that we talk about sometimes, which is we used to sell bread to hotels, and when we first opened the bakery, the multiplier would be 2.5. If you were having a banquet, how many rolls do I have to order? So if I was going to have 100 people at a banquet, I'd order 250 dinner rolls. That number now is 0.5.
Really?
So they order 50, maybe they order 50 dinner rolls because they don't get eaten.
Yeah, see,
People aren't-
I ate
Thanksgiving,
40 of them at that dinner party.
the worst Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
My mother-in-law, she is not listening. She might, but if she did, she's learned. But she made 1 roll per person for Thanksgiving. No one has forgiven her for that.
So she's the kind of person, earlier, that crippled dog on the side of the road, she keeps driving.
Yes, she has
Jesus.
learned, and we've moved on. But
Well, you can call me. We can supplement.
yes, well,
Your mother-in-law.
we are a bread family for sure.
Here's what I want to do. I want to shift gears because I've had the privilege of working with you, Josh, here the last, we're going on roughly a month and a half, 2 months, rough ballpark. Maybe a little bit further back we discussed. You reached out because you had a concept for a podcast. And actually, gentlemen, to my left and right, which is Jared and Zach, in case you're not here looking at who's to my left and right, this is our first TED Talker as a guest. Josh, TED Talk. When was that?
That was the end of 21.
21, right?
Yeah.
Is this the waste reduction?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
So from that, we had a discussion, and you were like, "Hey, I think I'm interested. I think I would like to explore, what a show would look like." And I kicked around a couple ideas, and you came back like 2 weeks later with a full-on college thesis. I mean, it was,
That was the Palo Alto. in me.
I was like, wow, okay. Because we came up with the idea for this one with
A little
significantly less paper and words. But anyway, you have kicked off. It went live last night, roughly. It's called Baked In with Josh Allen, a podcast that. Well, actually, do you have your intro memorized?
I don't have my elevator pitch memorized, but
Roughly, though. Go ahead and give everybody an idea of what the show is.
The idea is to talk to fellow entrepreneurs in the St. Louis area and region to gain insights into their culture and into their leadership styles, and in some instances into the metrics they use to sort of measure success within their own businesses. And the wonderful thing about being in business for 30 years is I've met an awful lot of people and have developed a lot of relationships. And knock on wood, I'm not really sure because I think you were a little surprised, as I was, that folks said yes.
Oh my God!
And we've been able to line up some guests that have been. It's really fun to hear their story and sort of hear about what they think about business.
So what I love about the show is I'm big on shticks. I'm big on play on words, etc. And you being a baker with you use particular ingredients to make the bread, and what you're really leaning into as far as what you're exploring with your guest is what's the secret sauce. That's a hot word that is used often. As far as what makes them successful. What do they do? What are the characteristics? And you're the talking about your guests. You follow this podcast because you hit it out of the park with your season 1 guests. Let's go through some of these.
Well, do
names.
folks know that you're a producer extraordinaire? Like, is that?
No,
I
no.
know when I listen that you keep that under wraps.
No, but your guests, and I've talked briefly to the two of you about this.
I'm a consultant on the show. He's talked more than briefly with me
Episode 1,
because I love
You're a
bread.
taste tester on the show.
yeah, episode 1, which is out there, so go check it out, is with Maxine Clark.
Holy moly!
Yeah, I mean, think about that. You decide, you being, John Doe decides, I'm going to do a podcast. I'm going to talk about business. I'm going to talk about why people are successful.
In St. Louis.
I'm in St. Louis. I'm going to make some phone calls. I have a buddy. He's got a quick shop down the block. Not Josh Allen. He goes straight to Build-A-Bear.
She was a customer of our cafe in Clayton for a long time. So I've known Maxine.
Yeah, but it's amazing because this first season, run through some of the names real quick. Just let's name drop.
Well, we
because of
mentioned
what we
Gerard a
can
minute
expect.
ago, and we talked a lot with Gerard about St. Louis City.
That's
It's
awesome.
been, and that episode, interestingly enough, is going to drop the week of the Kansas City rivalry game.
May 20th.
Yes, May. So that'll come out 2 days before. So that'll be that week. And then you've had you were talking about Kevin Nashon earlier. Kevin's coming up.
Right. Katie Lee Collier, who's opening her new restaurant at
Katie's
Ballpark
Pizza?
Village.
Yep.
So from Katie's Pizza.
And then
Yummy.
Dan Abel, which is a name that you might not recognize the name, but you definitely know his product, and it's pronounced caramel, not caramel, from Chocolate and Bissinger's,
Oh, yeah.
which is
Okay.
the most iconic.
Yeah.
Behind Hershey's, obviously.
Yep.
Who else have we had here? Kat Neville from Feast and now Explore STL.
Rick Wolf, who is he owns Found Vintage and Found by the Pound. And
I can't wait to listen to this son of a bitch.
No, I mean,
this is
look,
phenomenal.
I want to go down this. I'm going to go down this path, and here's the correlation. And this is, yes, you're a soccer dad, but I wanted to talk about your show because I think the correlation, the parallel between what we've been doing and the people we've been talking to, and the people that you're talking to within our backyard, they're the best at what they do, and their secrets are. It's like those gleaming little nuggets, So, it's talk a little bit about your approach with these individuals, because you're not just talking to somebody that's in business. You're talking to industry leaders. And how do you prepare to talk to them, and what's some of the things that have surprised you about engaging with them?
Well, I think and many of them I have known or I think the humility, and I think it speaks a lot to what you guys talked about with Al Trost, and certainly when Bill McDermott was on a few weeks back. I mean, we have a community of really amazing people that have this kind of Midwestern hospitality, right? And this whole idea of humbleness and just going about your craft and really knocking it out of the park, but not doing it, beating your chest and making a lot of noise about it. And so all of these folks, a lot of it's about hard work and kind of grinding it out and putting your head down, but having a great idea and just delivering on the promise that they make to their customers. And it's really great to talk to those folks and you use secret sauce, but sort of get a little bit, peel the covers back or peel the layers of the onion back a little bit and understand what their challenges are and what keeps them up at night and some of the things that they're working on. And then to talk to them about what's coming and what's down the line, because they all have some really cool things kind of happening. And we mentioned Gerard a second ago, and Gerard sort of teased that he had a few things in the works. And then just yesterday or 2 days ago, he announced he's opening a 16,000 square foot barbecue concept at the Foundry, which is going to be an amazing place. And so, these guys are continuing to drive St. Louis forward. And talking to Kat was incredibly eye-opening, because Kat from Explore St. Louis is traveling the country trying to promote St. Louis and bringing folks here and getting conventions here and music festivals and really sort of showcasing. I mean, she said the hardest thing about showcasing St. Louis is it has so many things to offer. It's hard to figure out which ones to focus on.
Well, it is. And I think that the neighborhood concept really changes the dynamic. You talked about Kansas City a little bit ago, and you think about Kansas City, there are some neighborhoods, but the plaza is kind of where people go. Here, there's quite a few different options for
and even in St. Charles County. I mean, that's
the
a
third
big
largest county in
foodie
Missouri
area.
So what I love about what you guys are doing, and I put you guys in the category of the Gerard Crafts and you and the folks that are really focusing on that basically Clark Street corridor. I think, and I would love to get your opinion on this, the more we invest in that area from Cardinal Stadium down, the more it's revitalizing in a non-gentrification way. And what I mean by that is we're not...
Well, there's nobody to displace.
Right. There's no
because nobody lives down.
But I'm sensing it, and I'm a county kid. So I sense it when I'm down here, 3 days a week, that things are changing in a positive way. And it's not just, again, that displacement. Can you talk a little bit about, is that a concerted effort on the part of you and so these other entrepreneurs you're talking to, is to really focus on that? Or is it more just a byproduct of the investment you guys are making?
Let me cut in. Nor is it just City St. Louis Soccer, trying to revitalize Midtown. It's a collection of what you're speaking on, Zach. All of these entrepreneurs, all of these cross industries coming together. I mean, I don't have a crystal ball, but answer his question. But this could be a phenomenal melting pot of just food, entertainment, sporting. I mean, it's exciting.
It is.
Well, yeah, and you have the connection to Union Station, which has been sort of trying since the early '80s to garner some momentum. But the LHM group invested with the aquarium and the Ferris wheel, and sort of seeing what was coming and all the things that were happening. And I mean, interesting. You mentioned the Maxine Clark episode. I mean, really, the other thing that Maxine's doing now. I mean, she left Build-A-Bear a number of years ago. She not just started, but a couple of years ago opened Del Mar Divine, which is she took the old St. Luke's Hospital and has turned it into like the cortex of nonprofits, and it's east of the Loop, about 3/4 of a mile.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to get that.
On Del Mar,
a little bit east of like Third Degree Glass Factory, which is another area that just could be amazing and was amazing a long time ago. And if we can get some investment, she's made some investment, and if that can continue and bridge that gap, then you've got the Lions in U City going all the way to DeBoliver, which then connects to Forest Park, which connects to WashU, and there's many pockets in which that's happening. And even Main Street in St. Charles, as you mentioned, across the river, I mean, they've certainly made a huge investment, and it's now it's a great place to go, whether you're sitting outside at Salt Smoke eating barbecue on Main Street or shopping in the antique malls or something. I mean, there's always that stuff happening, and in many places that you mentioned. And sometimes the disparateness of that, maybe you worry that, like, what if we just put all our efforts into one spot? Could we make it truly amazing? But I think the neighborhoods are what makes St. Louis what it is.
I agree. It wasn't a consolidation question. It's more just about the sense that things are improving and that folks are
Yes.
Well, you've been,
Spending
I
more
mean,
time.
in reference to that line of questioning, you've been front line within the food industry, because even yes, you make a particular product that people use and they put on the plate, but there's maybe 7, 8, 9 other things that are on that plate, and then they've got to, staff it and everything else. You've been on the front line, so you've seen what so many people are starting to experience now. You've seen it kind of percolate and build, specifically the food scene, and just how good it is here in St. Louis.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's an incredible micro vendor community, which we put ourselves in. So Schlafly opened in 91, sort of the first craft brewery.
Right.
We opened in 93. Caldi's opened in 1994, sort of providing, an upscale, better quality coffee to restaurants. The farmers markets were really kind of growing and expanding at that time. So it's really changed. And it takes an incredible micro vendor community to support these independent restaurants.
Yeah, it is.
To make it happen. And so being a part of that has been it's an honor and a privilege to bake for all these folks and to watch what's happening and to see what's happening.
Yeah, Sugar
How
Fire
rewarding.
is
How rewarding. I mean,
it's really
that's
cool.
phenomenal.
I just think about going to Sugar Fire, the original location down Olive and 170.
170,
basically.
yeah.
They used to have, and I haven't been there in a while, but they had a board on their wall that showcased all the local vendors that they sourced their breads, their meats, their vegetables, all that. And I that was the first time I remember looking at that thinking, holy crap, that's really cool. And then
Yeah.
Sugar Fire is now blown up, but then you get the High Point, you've got all these other places that are kind of not mimicking that model, but certainly taking advantage of the idea that we have some really high quality options
Yeah.
over the brands out there.
No, and their willingness to invest in that,
Yes.
right? Because there's a certain point of scale
Right.
that they don't have to do that, or they could choose to do something else.
Yeah, it's one of those things like St. Louis is one of those towns that like chains won't work. And there's something to that. And, you start to peel the onion back. It's just because we prefer good shit. And people like yourself, your product, and these vendors, they've got that edge and they got the willingness. You mentioned it. Like, I was 24, I didn't know better. I just did it. And you created a product that, people that are in the city and in this marketplace are like, I don't want a shitty just production bun, and they don't realize it. So kudos to you. Check out Baked In with Josh Allen. It's on all the major outlets, Apple, Spotify, etc. Because if you're a St. Louis homer, you're going to want to hear these stories, because these people are the ones that make your life cool and they feed you good food and everything else. So congratulations, Josh, on the drop. Best of luck with the show.
And you are one hell of a hype man, you know that?
I'm a cut man,
Sunday.
Yes. So we're gonna roll out. We down here, Johnny needs to refill our pint glasses here. Gonna roll out with a little bit of camp, and we'll be right back with Josh, and we'll talk some nonsense sports later.
The term staycation was really invented by soccer moms. Located 1 hour and 7 minutes from the Arch, the Music Box Chalet at Innsbruck is a hidden gem. Buried in 3 acres of private woods, the Music Box has a master suite for just you, a loft and second bath for them, and a vinyl collection to meet your every mood. The full-size kitchen will easily accommodate 3 to 12 bottles of rosé, while the huge fire pit seating area will keep the big kids busy. Golf, fishing, kayaking, pickleball, or simply reading a book with Mother Nature, all at your fingertips. Visit either VRBO or Airbnb to find the Music Box Chalet. And now, back to those guys.
Oh,
Let's go, dude.
Was that Kim with 2 M's?
That would be Kim with 2 M's.
Ooh, doggy.
Oh,
That was well done.
We're back.
I
That
think
was good.
I
That
think
was good.
she needs work on her enunciation.
No.
We might need to have
Nope.
Zach.
No, I'm going
It's
to
good.
listen to that over and over again.
I mean, it sounds appetizing. I mean, you keep the rosé. You keep the kids. I'll take the golf, the vinyl collection, and the
You're probably
3
a little
acres.
bit of a.
I'll do the pickleball.
I knew you would be the pickleball guy.
Oh, yeah. Pickleball nerd.
Josh, what do you think about pickleball? Do you think it's a real sport, or do you think it's just for people that can't play tennis?
I don't know. You know what? We just started a relationship with the Chicken and Pickle folks. Oh, we're selling bread to them across the country, and they're opening in St. Charles in November.
Pickleball.
I love pickleball.
Well, they're doing another one in the Valley on the district called Pickle and Dill or something like that, and it's a concept.
I think it's called Tickle My Pickle.
Nope, that's not what it's
that?
called. Jared, the one in the district is actually supposed to be very similar to what we experienced in Austin with the pitch.
Ooh, I love that place.
So the pitch was in Austin, and it was in between the main grass field for Austin FC's academy and their larger stadium turf field, and it was this modular idea of
shipping containers.
Shipping containers that were separated by these paths and walkways, and they had a burger place, they had a taco place, they had a Vietnamese place, they had a barbecue place,
All
they had a
separate
bar,
entities.
all separate. But they have an app you can order from in a really cool open concept area. They had 3 pickleball courts, they had a sand volleyball court, all connected and kind of within walking distance of these fields. And so the traffic was cool, and you could sit outside, or they had on the top level air conditioned seating areas with trash cans and napkins.
Containers.
And the most important thing that hasn't been mentioned, they had like a central bar.
I said it.
Oh, that you did?
I did.
He did. He said they had drinks.
And I said they had a bar.
Yeah. We'll extrapolate.
I was just enamored.
great story.
I was just enamored by Zach's eyes. I just
Oh,
I
shoot.
had somebody tell me one time, yeah, you have beautiful eyes. They're like pool water.
Pool water.
Like, what does that even mean?
with pee.
What'd you do? Did you bring a bag full of mushrooms?
I don't
and like
know.
you were
It's
everybody's friend?
I thought it was a compliment, but I don't know.
All right, let's. Josh, you've got. You were an official soccer dad. Your boy has he's ran the gamut between some of the evil empires, and you know, you get into that age where high school's around the corner. You know, with the landscape of soccer being what it is right now, you and Melissa. How are you guys, you know, how do you manage it? Because all of us have our own like horror stories and good stories as to, you know, quarterbacking the practices and everything else, because they're all over the place compared to when you were a kid, when we were kids, and now. Kind of what's your secret sauce? See what I did there? On managing the logistics, keeping him engaged and preparing him for high school ball. What are you guys doing with the Big E?
Well, I was a West 75 kid. Was West 75 around for you guys, or was that?
That's not a name I'm familiar.
No, but I'm from Granite City, so I have an excuse to not know.
So I mean, we're not having the conversation that you guys have. We don't have the opportunity to have the conversation of whether we're going to choose academy over high school. So Elliot's playing at the elite level at Gallagher. He's doing great. Super committed kid. Works every day. Works after school. Goes to the gym with me in the mornings 2 days a week. But we're just not there yet. Part of it is size and puberty. You know, those things are going to come into play. And I was listening to your episode a handful of weeks ago with Otto, who has coached Elliot at Gallagher, and I was really happy to hear that this whole idea of him going to high school and being able to find his own path and being able to get in front of coaches who have never seen him. You know, I think the great thing about these clubs is they can develop these kids, but at the same time, I think sometimes your kid can get pigeonholed as an 11 or 12-year-old, and he's that kid, and that's how the club's going to view him forever.
Yeah.
And you know that so many things change between 11, 12, 13, and 15 or 16 years old, that sometimes that's unfair to some of these kids. And I think the opportunity to go work with a coaching staff that's totally new, who have no preconceived notion of who he is and what he is. I mean, he's going to have to work his ass off, and he's going to have to show up, and he's going to have to prove it. But he gets the opportunity to do that in front of a staff that doesn't know. And I think I hope that it's going to be great for his confidence, that he's going to have an opportunity to shine a little bit, because He's going to end up he's going to go to Ladue. And I know that it's partial club kids and not everybody's a club kid. I mean, it's, it's that combination, but they've been competitive in the last handful of years that I'm excited about. And he's going to have to work hard. But he's going to have that opportunity. And I think that's going to be neat. So, but again, it's different. I mean, if he was on an academy program, I don't know that I can really conceive of how we would go through that conversation because we don't have to make that decision, but I do think that opportunity is a good one.
So does he get a special treatment for being a legacy Ram, or
I don't know that anybody's going to remember me. The captain from 1987 doesn't mean a lot there. The staff has turned over a few times, I think. So we'll find out, I guess.
I think it's really cool, and I loved what Otto said, which was, going through the academy process, going to play for his national team, then coming back and playing for his high school. He talked more glowingly, I think, about his high school experience than he did some of the other aspects.
Yeah, the whole tone in his voice
it changed,
and you probably heard it through the speakers. Whenever you listen to the episode, there was definitely like a love affair that he had with.
He also thinks he developed the most during high school. Meaning he gained it was like a snowball headed for hell.
Well, because he wasn't.
No, that's right.
And for your son Elliot, and for any kid, if they have an opportunity to be, first of all, a known commodity coming in, right? So there's no preconceived notions. He can really carve his own path and be part of a community and grow with that community. And I think that's really cool. And it is something that we talk about a lot on this show, but I'm excited to see how he does and what
you guys mentioned you guys mentioned the competitiveness aspect, right? And I think Gallagher is a tremendous program, and he's developed a lot, and he's learning how to play, and he's learning the system that they're teaching him. But winning isn't the main thing, right? And look, I think that's in many respects, I think that's terrific, and it's nice not to have that pressure, and that's not a concern. And but at the same time, I think to want to just beat the snot out of the neighboring
Clayton,
just out of Clayton, out of Eureka, out of Parkway South, like whatever those schools.
Just not Webster, not Lafayette or Webster.
Well, you're going to want to beat the heck out of Webster too.
Shit, John Burroughs and Chaminade are next door,
right?
I mean, those guys too.
Well, I think too the other thing that's happening in the high school marketplace is a byproduct of the academies and of so many kids that are now in the academy systems between Fuse and Gallagher and City. Obviously, the parity between the public schools and the private schools, it's getting closer. Look at what Webster, Timmy Velton, what he's done with Webster the last few years.
Rockwood Summit.
Yeah, Rockwood Summit. So it's like, Ladue.
Yeah, I mean, when we were kids, it was CBC, DeSmet, Vian, like you mentioned. I mean, and you really weren't going to be competitive against them. You might be able to do well in the Suburban South League, and then outside of that was going to be the end of it. And now it's totally different. It's wide open now, and I think that's great. I think it's a great opportunity, and you guys know as well as anybody that the filtration system that happens from college, from high school to college, it's a very small percentage of kids that go from college to the next level. It's a very small percentage. So you got to really have a great experience at whatever level you're at that moment, because you don't know if you're going to keep playing. I mean, I really wanted to play college soccer, and I got to school, and the jump from Ladue to Pac-10 at the time there was no way I was going to make that leap. I didn't have the skills to do it.
I mean, that was a pretty good conference.
Well, in that timeline also, if my timeline is right, the majority of the national team was on the Western Seaboard.
Yeah, most of them were coming out of the West Coast.
Yes, absolutely. So our team, cream of the crop, was coming from California.
Yeah,
for the most part.
Yeah, no, it's
Stanford specifically.
So let me ask you this then, specifically as it applies to Gallagher, because obviously we know the club well. We talked to a number of other clubs. We know Otto's now over St. Louis Stars.
Brad just left,
but
Gallagher.
My question to you is, excuse me, do you think that the club is doing a good job of preparing the Elliot in particular, but the boys in general that are in that elite and premier and those levels in which they're going to be going in and competing for high school? Do you think they're doing a good job of preparing them for high school ball?
I don't know that I can speak across the board. I can say that they're preparing Elliot well. I mean, Dan Schoen, who's been Elliot's coach at Gallagher for 3 years now, is a terrific guy.
Great coach.
We've had a great experience with him, and he's pushed Elliot, and Elliot's had good years and challenging years and good years, and Dan's the same guy every day when he comes, and he expects a lot out of those kids, and that's been great. So I can't speak across the board. I think we're getting ready to go through this. The uncertainty of the June time period at these clubs, which is kind of how the reshuffling, and this year, because the 09s are going to go to, the city academy now is available. So we're going to see that reshuffling that we haven't had before, where many of the top kids may choose to leave to go to city. You guys went through that a year ago, and we're going to go through that now. And so what's that reshuffling going to look like, and the uncertainty and the high school and the trap year and all the different things that happen, what are we going to have an answer in June? Are we going to not know till the fall?
Do you think about that a lot?
I hate
because Elliot loves the game. I mean, the boys, any minute that they have time off on when they're not at school together, they're out kicking. He loves the game. Does he? Is he kind of like preparing himself for it? Does he talk to you about it? Is it, because it's tough on these kids, not knowing. So how are you handling it with him, and how is he handling it going into freshman year? Is he excited at the prospect? And how do you basically what I'm looking for is a tip or a trick that you are applying in your relationship with Elliot that other parents, because there's a lot of parents that don't handle it well. You guys handle it well is really what I'm getting at.
I don't know. I think it's hard. The uncertainty is hard for all of us, and even the coaching staff doesn't necessarily have the answer for you. You don't even know where to get the answer sometimes. I wish that there was more communication, and I understand the uncertainty that exists for them, who's coming in, what other kids from the outside. I mean, I will say that we did some tryouts last summer just to sort of line up some other opportunities. The last thing he wanted to do was leave. We actually didn't know if Dan was going to coach again. There was some uncertainty whether he was going to coach again. And when he decided to coach and Elliot could stick with him, we certainly chose that path because we've had a good experience. But we went to sporting. We went to a couple of other things just to see what else was out there.
Yeah.
So you're trying to navigate the whole thing, and I wish there was a better way that they could do it.
Let me ask kind of a unique question, and you can answer this however you'd like. But from my understanding, and Jared, JB, you guys check me on this. My understanding is that Fuse is also changing their academy to increase the number of academy programs that they're going to have. Meaning, right now it's U13, U14.
Yeah, they're going all the way up.
They've
been going all the way up to U19.
Membership in the MLS Next League and multiple other age groups.
So realistically, there are 3 academy programs within St. Louis. If Elliot had an opportunity, was given the opportunity to go to Fuse and be on their academy, how would you and your wife kind of handle that discussion with Elliot?
I think the same way that we handled it last summer, which in the end I do think it's his decision. I think it's our job to make sure that we open up the doors for him and not because he can put the blinders on a little bit and not be sure where to look around and see. So I think the tryouts were more for us to say, look, why don't you go see what some other coaches are like? Why don't you go see what some other programs are like and see if anything resonates with you differently than what you've experienced now. In the end, it's his decision, and in the end, still, knock on wood, it's about the kids that he gets to play with, and we love the parents on the team, so it's great that we happen to really like the parents, and that made it easy for us to want to stay. At the same time, we weren't even sure if he was going to be asked to be on that team again, right? So you don't even the coach can't even necessarily say, hey, look, if all things are equal, you're at least going to be with me. They can't really even say that. So,
kudos to you guys for testing, putting your toe in the water in all those places just to see what's out there. But I referenced the shirt that's in the Soccer Park fan shop. I'd rather be at Soccer Park. So, how do you leave that place?
Yeah.
That's the greatest place on earth for me. Growing up there as a youth, I don't care about Lou Fuse, Scott Gallagher, Sporting, City. Soccer Park fucking rocks. I mean, it just makes me feel happy. When I pull in, I get in an immediate. I'm in an immediate good mood.
And it's close to and it's close to Wallys, right? Like you got
Yeah.
Wallys right here.
I knew that was
the
gonna-
problem is
like, it's
that you end up playing in freaking Creve Coeur a couple nights a week, and there's no colder place in America.
No,
than
there's
the Creve
not.
Coeur Soccer
No.
Complex.
Well, and if you catch it on the right day, whenever that pond turns over and you smell all the steak,
lovely sewage.
you know
smell.
exactly what I'm talking
I know.
about.
Dead deer smell.
So let's real quick then. I got a question for you. Just I want your take on your experience because you're a season ticket holder as well at City. You know you're clearly embedded in the city. Within the food scene, etc. You watch the stadium, be built. When you went there for that first game, checking out the whole vibe, from the food to the field. What was your takeaway? Being a St. Louisan your whole life and loving the game. What does that stadium and the team and the experience mean to you?
I mean, truly, I don't think they could have done it any better. I think that was the thing that was so surprising to me. I don't know what I expected, but having grown up watching the Stars a little bit, I mean, I was young when they left. So what they left in 77 or 78, right? So. Yeah. I would have been 8 years old or 9 years old when they left. So, I mean, it was super early, but I remember that experience and then watching Soccer Made in Germany on TV as a kid. Awesome. But I just don't think they could have done it any better. I mean, I think walking up to that stadium and having the field be sunk sunk in so it's only it doesn't feel like this imposing stadium. Right. Like it was such an approachable building and it being wide open and the food and knowing I have the luxury of knowing many of the vendors and know that they supported the local independent restaurant community and that you go in there and you know the people and
the smell
the smell of the whole place and
it doesn't smell like a stadium.
No.
Like because of the food variation and the lack of like nuclear orange nacho cheese permeating the air.
Only at Wallys.
And I wasn't prepared to not sit down. I mean, we've been to a lot of games and we have not sat down. Like nobody sits in.
I don't even go to my seats.
My section sits.
Do they?
They do. That's why I go down and hang out with JB and Jared on the concourse.
We have seats, but we don't sit. We walk. If you want to find us, we're on the corner at 100. So
the north is it the northeast corner? Is that where we're at?
No, that would be the
southeast. Yeah, southeast corner. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's so much fun. Elliot, obviously, he's been a few times as well. Who's his favorite player?
Oh, I mean, Klaus's. There's no question about it. Stroud, he actually, I mean, he kind of likes the midfield thing. He's sort of appreciates
Stroud's a little, he's the shit disturber.
He's the villain. He really is the villain on the team. And
he's kind of like Sonic the Hedgehog. He's just an asshole. I like him.
All teams need it. It's the
description I've ever heard of a soccer player.
Sonic?
Yeah, that's good. I like it.
He kind of is Sonic the Hedgehog.
I get it. I mean...
I was going to say he's our probert.
Did you have a Sega Genesis?
Oh, absolutely.
He's Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen. Well, here's the deal. May the 4th, and let's see if you can get this one.
It's The Mandalorian.
Damn. You're good.
How does he get that right away?
I'm a nerd. Grady and I were talking about this series on the way up here.
I haven't watched it yet.
Do you watch these, Josh? Do you watch?
We have watched a lot of Mandalorian.
Oh, it's so good, isn't it?
We're a couple episodes behind on this current.
The Boba Fett thing, I had a hard
it was
time
hard to
getting
get through.
Yeah.
What about all the guest stars that are coming in? I hear it's really slickster that there's a bunch of guest stars in there.
Jack Black was just on the Mandalorian.
Jack Black.
Yeah, that was weird. I had a hard time with that because
was he,
actually
Jar Jar
my
Binks?
kids. We could have been, should have been, probably would have been better. No, because my kids point out, my kids get irritated at these shows whenever it's just a normal / American English speaking character. They're
Without
like,
a British accent?
there's no British accent, and they're like, that's not a real Star Wars character.
We need to have a whole episode on the phenomenon that is British accents for all
industries.
English speaking roles.
No, it's like City Voice, the other podcast we talked about. The only reason it's doing well is it's
no,
got
I'm talking about
Londoner that hosts
the movie Gladiator, set in Rome, and all the actors don't have an Italian accent; they have an English accent.
Oh, that's too deep, dude.
Or if you
Speaking
go to
of other podcasts,
German movies,
I just want to throw out that I just saw the article of the 6 podcasts talking about St. Louis City and St. Louis Magazine.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you guys weren't on there.
No, we weren't.
don't
And
talk
I
about-
was not very happy to see that.
Well, but the thing is, like, of a, within the hour that we talk, and a little hour and 20 that we talk to people, as a percentage of the time that we talk, only maybe
City
4 or 5. Look, we love the team, we support it, we love soccer.
Yeah, but you distill the news into what it needs to be. It doesn't need to be any more than that. And then your guests talk about it. Like, it doesn't need, like, that's enough. You guys do enough.
I agree, and that's why I say let the other people talk about it. We'll talk about stuff that other people care about.
Yeah, like the Mandalorian and
Bread.
and Wally's bread. Josh, thank you, man, for joining us.
This is great, Josh. Thank you.
We really enjoyed the time with you. Best of luck with Baked In. Give it a follow if you're listening. It's on all the majors. Give us a follow if you haven't yet, and toss a share around. We've got some amazing guests coming up here the next 2-3 weeks. You definitely want to tune in.
Somebody
for.
that probably knows something about soccer.
No. We actually.
I think we got Emerald Lagasse.
Emerald's Dude, you weren't supposed to
Hell's
drop
Kitchen.
that. Like,
They're
Damn.
all soccer parents.
all right, dude. We are totally muting you next time.
Gordon
All right.
Ramsay.
And we're out. Thank you, everybody, for listening.
you.
We'll catch you next time.